AfterBuzzers, we are talking The Arrangement, Episode 6, Control. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
My dirty little secret. This song brings me back, man. I love this song.
And on top of all of that, we thought it was a very fitting song for tonight because everyone has a dirty little secret, Ally.
Yeah, a very intense dirty secret. Don't know how I feel about it yet, but we'll get into that.
Well, I'm your host, Tessa Ceval. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Tessa_Ceval. And Ally, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Ally Nasta and on Instagram at AllyGirl.
And don't forget to follow AfterBuzz TV on all social media at AfterBuzz TV. So, Ally, not only does Megan have a secret now, Terrence have a secret now, Kyle has a secret now, Deanne has more of a secret now. Like, everyone has a lot of secrets.
Yeah, it's
so many secrets.
I literally now I understand when she came into the studio, when Deanne came into the studio, she was saying,
Annika?
She was saying there's going to be a crazy pit that's going to happen. Yes.
Lexa.
Yes, Lexa. When Lexa came in, she was like, there's going to be something that you guys are going to think is crazy, and I think that was this episode. And if it wasn't this episode, I don't know what else craziness could happen.
I know, it keeps getting the plot continues to thicken, in a exponential way, which I love. But it's kind of tripping me out how all so many different things are going on now. It's almost hard to keep track of. It's okay, this happened, this happened, this happened.
Yeah.
So, okay, diving into it, I want to talk about this. Kyle and the detective.
I hated that. I hated it so much.
Why I wanted to talk about this is because it makes me really wonder what Kyle has, what his secret is kind of with the Institute, because as I was thinking about it after I watched the episode, right? I'm like, okay, so does Kyle care more about being a celebrity or about keeping whatever secret he has a secret with the Institute? Because Terrence said, I can take you down this, right? So I'm like, what's more important to him? Is it the secret or the celebrity or his relationship with Terrence?
I think it was kind of... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, because he, did a huge thing by cheating on Megan the way that he did that.
Oh, it was so hard. It was just, so hard. I think I had to, look away so many different times. But anyways, I think that he was... As much, Terrence said, I can make you or break you, basically. And I think that he basically was saying, I can take away everything that you have. Mm-hmm. Everything that you have, this luxurious life. And we kind of saw the beginning of that with the assistant refilling the juices, taking pictures of the shoes, putting them in his closet. And I think he's become accustomed to that lifestyle that I think that having it being taken away from him was scarier than standing up to Terrence. Which is kind of strange because I feel like I've seen a lot of strength in Kyle, and I think that we've seen a lot of his actual feelings come out. So I actually was thinking he was going to stand up to him. I didn't think he was going to go through with it.
No, me too. I was very surprised because I think I was talking about this last episode. I was like, I love Kyle. He's the only pure one. Mm-hmm. And now he's not.
No. And I was thinking when he was actually walking into the hotel room or whatever, I thought it was a ploy, a setup to kind of get the detective in trouble because this would be bribery.
I never
And
thought
so
about
I thought
that.
they were setting up cameras in order to, put her back onto the police, this cop, basically, because then, Terrence is all about bribing people. And so I thought that was kind of how it was going to back into itself. And when it didn't, I just was like, I don't like what's happening. This is weird. Why would Kyle do that?
That's really interesting. I never thought about it that way. I just assume there's cameras because there's always cameras.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I thought they were doing it to, get back at her so then she couldn't, come and, do this again with other, because you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely really sad to see that Kyle had to do that. I keep wanting to say Josh.
He looked devastated at the end of it, just so distraught.
I mean, watch it just seeing him afterwards. I was distraught to even think that was a thing that had to happen. And what just stinks too is that we're still trying to figure out what this institute actually does. And I'm sure we'll get into the dramatic just terrible, horrifying moment we had with Terrence and in the car.
Yes.
But before we do, it was just really sad to know that this place is just like totally wrapping people up in the worst way possible. It just was really scary. I mean, obviously in the show, it's scary that Kyle is trapped. It's like he can't ever get out, and he's so worried about. But I mean, I wish that we had Jess and Tequila here tonight so we could talk more, because I want to hear their thoughts too, because they always have a different perspective on how they saw it. But, and don't worry guys, they'll be here next week. But I think that in my eyes too, I just can't tell if Kyle is doing it for like afraid to lose the fame, or I think it was because of the security that he has. He's afraid to lose the security because where he came from, it's not security. You know what I mean?
Right.
He came from a very struggling background, and I don't know. It kind of raised so many questions as to like, why would you put yourself through something that terrible? And like, there's no coming back from that.
No, I totally agree.
Like,
well, and I just feel like there's so many secrets in general. Like, I think it was, who was it? Hope, I think, who was initially, or maybe it was Sean, I can't remember right now, when they were talking with Megan a couple episodes back, like, that's how they get you. Like, they get your secrets and then they keep you. And at that point, I don't think I wanted to believe that, because I hadn't seen this darker side of the Institute, even though I felt like deep down I was like, she's probably right.
Yeah.
But now we're finally seeing that. And it is really scary. I mean, the whole accident with Drake happened, and like that's how they got him, and then like Sophie got sucked in, and then that whole thing with Connor happened.
Yeah.
And there's so much
going on, and so many, I don't know, this episode was just like a huge just like whirlwind of crazy events and crazy things I never even saw happening, and I just I had to like recover from the end of this episode, like what just happened, and what just happened, honestly. I just couldn't even imagine.
So, okay, on the track of the Institute, why don't we now talk about Terrence and Connor? So that was a really intense moment, and honestly, you guys, when Connor took his life, I think I had glanced down for a moment, because all of a sudden the gun had gone off, and I seriously for a second thought it was Terrence, because I had kind of like done because I was writing something down, like glanced down, and I was like, oh my god, I like rewound it, and then I saw him do it himself. That's really intense.
I mean, it's just like I mean, I feel like whenever I watch shows or movies like this, it just breaks my heart that someone would have to do that. You know what I mean? And so when you're kind of trying to figure out, basically, you know, Terrence is terrible. We were trying to figure out, like, what his motive is. And whatever his motive is, he's a terrible person. You know, like, he was manipulating Connor to doing something that he didn't want to do. And he felt like he had no other out. Like, what kind of place is this? You know what I mean? Where he didn't feel like he had an out because he was getting blackmailed into saying something that he didn't do, clearly. And but, I mean, I don't know, something that I didn't kind of get, I was confused about the whole Sophie thing, is that he was saying, like, this progress you've been telling me wasn't true.
Well, because what happened, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, is Connor was like in track to take her to the facility to essentially brainwash her. And then what happened was they decided to kind of like run away and like screw the Institute. And then Sophie bailed and they started fighting.
Oh, so that story was real.
I assume so. I don't know why it wouldn't be, right?
Oh my gosh, I totally interpreted that wrong. I thought when Terrence was in the car telling that story, like when they were like having the one-on-one like about what happened, I thought that
you thought that was him telling him that was his cover-up.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, then maybe I'm confused.
Yeah, I thought that he was basically, Terrence was saying like, this is the exact story you're going to tell them because you're basically going to put yourself in jail for the Institute. That's how I took it.
Maybe I interpreted it wrong then.
Yeah,
I thought that was like all like serious.
Man, now I'm like really confused. I have no idea. Yeah, seriously. Can we pull up the live chat if anybody's in there? Help us out because I don't know.
I just totally assumed that like
that was actually what happened.
All, like,
I know.
Twisting around.
Now I'm so confused. Oh man. All right. Well, you guys should join us because we've got some questions as well. Because I don't know. Now I'm confused.
Huh.
I
mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Terrence was like telling him what to do because that's all he does is tell people what to do all day long.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know. So that kind of totally, now my brain's like, I have no idea what happened.
Okay, well then telling people what to do was also a thing we saw with Deanne and Annika. So the tables have kind of turned. And in the end of the episode, Deanne went to Annika's house and was like, I'm going to go lie on your bed. Do whatever you want with me.
I'm so confused by this. Like,
so what is going on there?
I don't know.
So it's the episode started with Annika choking Deanne in like a very provocative sexual way, and now Deanne's into it, which we kind of knew because last episode she said that she wanted to leave Terrence out of it.
Yeah.
So what do you think's gonna happen with that relationship?
I don't know. Because, I mean, clearly with whatever movie she's working on, they're going to work on it together. And so that whole situation, I think, that's confusing too. I feel like I still have so many answers. As much as things kind of, I feel like, you kind of got a realization of who's evil, who's struggling, you know what I mean? Like, you kind of saw the bad guys in this episode. It was still confusing as to what their purpose is. And I feel like that's kind of with this whole Deanne and Annika thing. I'm wondering, what is the purpose of this happening? You know what I mean? Like, what is their backstory? What does Terrence have to be involved? Is this involved in the Institute? Is it not involved in the Institute? Like, I'm still asking myself those questions because I just am like, I don't know what's happening.
It's weird. And I feel like what is still in the back of my head is when Deanne had said she was kind of like forming this girl gang, which we had talked about earlier. And so part of me is like, is that still happening? Because there hasn't been any interactions with like Megan and Deanne in a while. And now Annika and Deanne don't have just a professional relationship. They have like an intimate sexual relationship too, which always complicates things.
Well, yeah, and I think that talking about like the girls coming together and like taking down the Institute, that was always my thought. I thought they were going to take down the Institute together, but now that's basically not even an option anymore because it seems like Deanne is totally on Terrence's side, whatever it may be. They're there for each other. Mm-hmm. I don't know what her reasoning is now behind the whole Megan thing, because clearly she picked Megan out, and that was one of the things that I kind of was like, well, she picked Megan out, she picked Annika out, like she's kind of had this whole slew of people like ready to go. So in that case, it's like I actually don't think she would be taking down the Institute. I think there's going to be a ploy to do that eventually, but not with her anymore. Bless you.
Sorry.
Bless you.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Oh, and also I was rewatching the first episode last week because I was like, I kind of wanted to go back to the whole...
Because then you'll notice things more.
Yeah. And when they were... And I think we touched on this, but now it just feels like it makes so much more of an impact. Mm-hmm. When Terrence and Deanne were watching the casting tapes...
Yeah.
She said when Kyle walked into the room, this isn't about talent.
Huh.
So I think it brought me back to the conversation that Cece Drake, Kyle, and Megan had where Cece was like joking about them looking for his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And now it seems so much more real because I don't think I caught that the first time. Because it was when they were doing like the, what are they called? Imperlatives? Or
when they were doing like the 3 questions?
Mm-hmm.
I guess. But I thought now that I think about, maybe I did hear that, and I thought it was more geared towards the character they were gonna play in this movie. Yeah. So I thought it was like, obviously, if this person can answer the questions more like the character, then they automatically would be like, it would make more sense to put someone that has those automatic automatic, I don't know, instances in their head. It kind of matches, like their personality matches the character. So I don't know, but that's why I feel like it's just like we were kind of brought through this huge loop now that it's just like all the things that we had thought are now just like over here in like in left field. And it's just like, I don't know. I'm just so lost. Yeah. I feel lost.
I know, me too. You guys, do you feel lost? Because I'm like, what is happening?
Like, I don't know.
Okay, and then Megan and Nate. So I feel like this episode, Nate just really came on strong to Megan.
Definitely.
But Megan, I felt like flirted with the idea at the beginning of the episode. Like, oh, I like being in your head. What?
Yeah, I think what we saw too a lot from her was that I think she's curious because it's like, you know, she went from having a long-term boyfriend to an immediate like boyfriend immediate fiance
hours.
within 24 hours, and like she's still kind of figuring out this whole institute life, this whole Kyle life, you know, figuring out how to be someone's kind of, you know, she's in the shadow of Kyle's right now. So I think with Nate and them and that relationship, I think she's able to kind of feel like she's like, oh, well, this could be intriguing because I never really have given myself a chance to see what else is out there.
Right.
So I think she's kind of, and maybe, I don't know, maybe this is just my thoughts, is that like maybe it is kind of like a backup plan. Like if for some reason things go wrong, like she actually still has Nate. Because I did see her liking the attention from him. Like I think she actually has feelings for him, but she's shutting them down because she still obviously loves Kyle and wants it to work out. But it's like she's kind of conflicted with what's actually going to happen with Nate. And
see that.
She never said like no. Like
that is true.
I don't think she said no.
But I feel like part of me, and I don't want to say this about Megan because I do like her as a character. I think part of it is, I mean, everyone loves attention. Everyone likes that kind of, you want what you can't have type of thing. And I feel like I kind of just see that with Megan. I don't know if she would be as flirtatious with the idea if she actually had the potential of getting with Nate without having this contract in the way.
Right.
Do you feel that way maybe? Or no?
I think maybe.
Maybe.
But I don't know, because I think she likes the artistry that he has and like his talents. I think she really appreciates that. But I think too he gets it. Like as soon as he saw her get the car, he was like, "Oh, it all makes sense now." Like he kind of was like, "I get it. Like that's why you're with him." But I don't think that's why she's with him. That was his kind of excuse to be like, "All right, now we get it. Like I understand why you're backing off a little bit." But I mean, I think she really does care for Kyle, and this is just someone that was thrown to her, and she's not really knowing how to deal with it yet. But I think eventually, even though I think she has a little bit of emotions, I think she has done a good job of pushing it away. She hasn't, after that kiss, which like, I don't think she wanted that kiss to happen. You know, I think I don't think she did either. I think it was kind of not forced on her, but I think it was something that she wasn't expecting to happen, and so it happened, and she was like, "Oh my gosh," and she felt guilty for something that she couldn't really control in a way. And so I think that if anything, it kind of was a wake up call to, all right, I might have these feelings for Nate, but at the end of the day, I want to be with Kyle. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see the more she finds out about the Institute, if that's going to change her thoughts on him, which it could definitely change her thoughts on him.
Right, which is actually why Elizabeth kind of also was telling him, like, that was why they broke up, which I know we talked about before. Sorry, that was a really weird
that's
way
okay.
I phrased that sentence. But she kept saying to Kyle, like, keep Megan away from the Institute, or you keep away from the Institute, because basically that's what broke us.
Yeah.
And so I just am continuing to harp on, like, what really went down there.
Yeah, what happened with them. Besides, because at first I was like, oh, well, Terrence just clearly controlled the situation, and she wanted to be out of that. She didn't want to have anything to do with the Institute. So her only option was to just break up with him. As much as she loved Kyle, she wanted to get away from that the stimulus of that community, and so she left. Yeah. And I think that that's why, you know, this whole episode with her, like, being on the radio show and her confessing her love, I think it was her, it's like, you know, you go through stages of grieving, and I think she's realizing, I still do care about him, I just don't want to be wrapped up in that scenario anymore.
Which is really intense. I mean, so she left him at the wedding, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to leave someone at a wedding is...
It's like you've had enough. So it's like, did something happen that day? You know what I mean? Did Terrence come up to her and threaten her with something? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like, in your head goes to all these different places, because Terrence clearly is like a really bad guy, and whatever this Institute is doing, it's not for anything good.
No.
Like,
well, then they say it is, which is why it's so ironic.
Yeah, it's like they.
It's like, oh, what is actually going on here?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. It's like, I feel like I said so many times, I just was like, what? What happened? What just happened?
Well, and harping back to the whole Kyle not being so pure anymore, I mean, he kissed Elizabeth and he had sex with, like, with Gaffy.
Yeah.
Detective Gaffy.
Well,
I mean, two things happened.
Yeah. And what's crazy, too, is that they stated that, like, infidelity on either part is terms for termination of the contract.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, you know, whatever happens, on either part, this contract is kind of null and void now because they've both done things. Like, it doesn't really matter. And I'm wondering if that's going to come back into play. Like, well, actually, I can get out of this contract whenever I want because you cheated, and then, like, or it could be vice versa. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
a really
that could be
good
like
point.
an easy scapegoat, kind of.
For both of them now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I feel like at first, the contract almost acted as a security blanket where they could kind of, like, fight, but they knew they would get back together because they had to.
Yeah.
But now it's a security blanket in the sense that
Either one of them can get out of
at any
it.
point.
Yeah.
So, do you think either of them will tell each other, or who's going to crack first?
I have a feeling it's gonna be Kyle. I think he's
too.
gonna get to a breaking point because I think this isn't the last thing that he's gonna have to do for the Institute. And I think he's gonna start realizing what terrible things it's doing to him and the people within it. Like, because Terrence didn't explain the details of what had happened. He just was like, you need to do this for the Institute.
Yeah,
and
he's like, I'm not asking.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like, you need to do this. And he didn't give him any other sense of what's going on. So now I'm wondering if it's going to be them taking, like, Kyle and Megan and Nate taking down the Institute rather than, like,
and
Deanne.
Nate's involved.
Yeah. Like, maybe, yeah. But I don't know. I kind of think that, like, it's going to be a really random group of people that are, like, taking down the Institute because they know they all have to work together. And it could be a scenario where even though Nate knows that he'll never be with Megan, he still loves her and wants the best for her. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Huh. But that, harping back on what you just said, like, the fact that Kyle did not know exactly what the problem was, and he did what he did, which is, like, pretty intense, to sleep with someone just to get out of, like, a murder, pretty much. Like,
yeah. It was terrible. It was terrible.
well, I mean, that's just, like, I think it goes to show, continue to show how much power Terrence holds over Kyle. Which is really scary.
It is really scary. And I guess maybe I take that back. Maybe Kyle won't be the one to take down the Institute because clearly if something this big is going to be put on him and he's going to go with it, unless he's using this as a terms to get back at Terrence, like, eventually. Like, it's like he's doing these things in order to, like, you know, build up rapport against him, and then he could, like, throw it in his face, like, this is what I could do to tear you down because you've done so much to try to tell me that I'm going to get teared down by you, but it's the other way around, pal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless that's the case, but I can't tell yet because he still did what Terrence wanted him to do. So, like, when would that breaking point happen? But I think in terms of the relationship, I keep going back and forth, but I like with, like, what my thoughts, but I think that I still think Kyle will be the one to tell Megan first rather than vice versa. Like, I think he'll break first.
I agree.
And
I think Kyle just, like, he can't lie.
Yeah.
Like, I feel
can't
like
keep it in.
Megan can kind of, like, keep it together.
Yeah, and I mean, really deep down, she's like, I don't think she really feels she didn't do anything wrong because really it was, like, an unwarranted kiss that happened. It's not like she was lusting after it. It just kind of happened. It was, like, in the moment. They moved on. But at the same time, like, I think if anything, Kyle, if he were to be the one that breaks it up, it would be he would talk about the Elizabeth kiss. He would never bring up what happened.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like, I think that would be the only thing he would say. And he'd be like, it meant nothing. I just wanted to tell you. I wanted to let you know.
Oh.
So, I don't know.
You're probably right because he knows Megan's skeptical about the Institute.
Yeah.
So for him to, like, have to, like, kind of sacrifice, like, his body in the way that he did, she would not be happy.
No, and she'd probably want out. And then she'd be like, sorry, I actually kissed someone. I'm out of the contract. Bye. But I don't know. I mean, she's clearly really falling for him and is in love with him. And I don't know. It's just kind of every episode we get something new and like, what was that? So I just have no idea. So I have no idea what's gonna happen. Like I have all these thoughts and theories, but then it's like half of them were like X-nayed at this episode. But yeah, it's crazy. Each episode gets like more intense.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then going back again to the whole Kyle Megan thing, it was pretty apparent he was going to tell her when she was driving in the new Maserati.
Yeah.
And then he didn't because she like went on this whole like, you're amazing.
You're pure. You're so
pure.
perfect. You're a great person.
Because you think he was going to say it then, don't you?
I thought so. I thought he was going to.
I did.
Like, yeah. I think I initially thought he was going to say something had happened because he was so distraught. Like, you could tell he was just like totally emotional, rightfully so, for what he had been through. And I think he's kind of toying with this whole, the Institute apparently tells them to let out their secrets and let their emotions out of how they're feeling, but I think he's kind of scared right now because it's a place that he used to trust. He doesn't know if he trusts so much anymore because of what he's been through. And so it's just like all of these like negatives that are just like, he's like kind of like trapped. He doesn't know where to go. And if he tells Megan, then Megan's going to think of him differently. And the one person he has as like a security blanket and the one person he has that he loves would leave him if he tells, I think that's where he's kind of going back and forth with all these emotions in his head.
Because Terrence is kind of all he has at the end of the day.
Yeah, if he were to tell Megan the truth and say she was like bye, then he would be the only one, and then he'd be back to, you know, start the starting line and have to find another person. But that
is very true.
Yeah, but I honestly, as much as I did say, like, I think that she has feelings for Nate, I think at the end of the day it would be Kyle, and I think that she might be able to put her differences aside for the Institute if it were to help Kyle. Do you think so? Like, say...
Like, to bring the Institute down, essentially?
Yeah. Like, what if... And this is kind of what's going in my head right now. Like, what if Kyle, you know, tells Megan what happened and said it was because the Institute blackmailed him? She can't really feel... Like, she can get mad and be like, why would you do that? But maybe because she loves him so much, she'd be like, what? Like, how could they do this? Like, we've got to bring them down. We've got to get, like, they've got to get what's coming to them. You know what I mean? So maybe in a way it could build in a strange way, like, help them defeat the Institute together. I don't know why I think the Institute's going down, but it just is.
No,
I feel like it's going down.
Has to, because, I mean, again and again, I feel like the writers and producers are, like, shedding this bad light on it.
Yeah,
obviously they're only showing the bad things that are going on. Like, because we haven't seen any positive.
No,
nothing positive has come from the Institute.
Yeah,
except for the fact that they say it's supposed to be positive.
Yeah, but it's not, clearly, because everybody that goes in there is on camera being vulnerable and getting lied to, essentially.
And getting blackmailed.
And then there's fake journalists pretending to be people they're not because they're spies. Like, I don't even know. Yeah. It's definitely, like, I'm thinking, I'm like, I don't even know what my theories are right now because I'm just, like, taken aback as to what's going on.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. So many thoughts, you guys. Let us know what you guys think.
Seriously.
So, okay, lastly, do you think, like, the car that Kyle bought was, like, a sympathy gift originally? Or do you think it was just another, like, Megan, I love you?
I think it was, like, a sign of affection for him. He wanted to give her a gift because he wanted to kind of show how much he loved Megan. I think it was, and it was one of those things where he's like, I think he thought she deserved it, and it was his way of just like, instead of getting flowers for her opening night, you know, here's a car because I can afford it. Yeah. So I think it was just his sign of just being like, I want to show you how much I care, and that was the way he did it. Which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Some people show different signs of affection towards love or gift giving or whatever, and I think that he just wanted to like prove to her how much he cares. Because it kind of has been a very, you know, it's been very fluctuated a lot within him being upset. Remember, I mean, was that last episode when his head was on her shoulder and he was just basically like breaking down? Yeah, so I think he just wanted to be like, I care so much about you. Thank you for everything. This is for you. I
think I was just like a little skeptical.
Weirded out by it?
Like, I mean, it's a great gift. Don't get me wrong. If someone bought me a Maserati, I would be stoked. But I felt there was a part of me that almost felt like it was another, like, pre-approved thing. Like, he continues to put these things into her life and, like, take away other things, if that makes sense. Like, okay, now you don't have a car, and, like, she, like, continues to get more new clothes and that
it's
type
like
of stuff. It's like
more so Kyle and what Kyle wants rather than like Megan and the choices that she makes.
right. I just feel like because if you think about it, they still have really been only dating like what, a couple weeks, and he's already like kind of pushing out a lot of material items. What I feel like, maybe I'm totally overthinking it, but I was kind of like, huh. Like, I feel like a car or something like that is like a 1-year anniversary, not like 6 weeks down the road.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy you a Maserati.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a lot to me to just throw at someone. Then again, he's like a millionaire, so to him it's not a big expense.
Definitely. I mean,
but to her it is.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of one of those things where I feel like if you were to receive a gift, you'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't accept that. You know what I mean? And I think any of us would be like, I cannot accept a gift like that. So maybe in terms of like the reality of it, I don't know if it was kind of like too much, definitely. But I mean, I would be like, where's my car? Like, but I guess like, I don't know. I guess not in terms of the show. I'm wondering, like, I think Megan appreciated it, but I guess it's different for everybody.
Yeah. I guess she just comes off to me as so, like, independent.
Yeah.
And very, you know, kind of self-made.
Yeah.
I don't know the best word, but, like, she's very, you know, I guess independent is the best word. So for her to just kind of, like, get her car taken away like that, like, as a struggling actress in Hollywood, that's kind of one of your most prized possessions is your car. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Probably overthinking all of this, but I was, like, really, like, taken back by it.
Yeah.
So, Ally, what are your predictions for the next episode?
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right. Well, now that my whole prediction of Deanne and all the ladies taking down the Institute, that's not happening anymore. I don't think so. I think it was completely wrong on that. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I think that Kyle and Megan are somehow going to reveal their secrets to each other, and that will help build their bond and help Kyle to realize you don't need the Institute. Like, you don't need any of this. Like, if you walk away, you can have such a happier life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think maybe that's what's going to happen, and maybe that kind of brings down the Institute in itself, because maybe he's able to unveil all these secrets and be like, I had no idea what's going on with this. But then that also leads to complications with Kyle. So I don't really know, but I'm thinking that could be something. That's my like take down the Institute plot, I think, would happen. And then, like I said, I think Nate and all them would kind of be in on it, depending on how that works out.
Okay.
And then I think...
What do you think about Elizabeth? Do you think she's going to come back?
I think so. I think she would come back, and I'm not sure in which way, because if I say where she was to come back and, like, it'd be a way to help Kyle kind of set into his, I don't know, because if she were to come in and break up the relationship, that totally ruins my plan of them taking down the Institute. So maybe she'll come back. I don't know what way, but maybe to just stir up drama, because clearly if she's kissed Kyle before, like, she's gonna come back and probably try to do it again. Like, I don't know if she's done doing what she came to do the first time.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But yeah, I think that's just mine. It's the main, like, something, somehow, some way, these characters are going to take down this Institute. That's what I'm predicting.
Copying you there, because I do think that's going to happen. And I like what you said about Kyle and Megan, like, telling the truth and making it stronger in their relationship. I do see that happening, because I think they're sort of on the same page, especially with the skepticism of the Institute, the abnormality of being in a relationship with a contract. I think it's going to kind of, like, bond them and unite them, be like, this is all so weird. What are we doing? Like, let's bring this down. I think it's going to be really hard, and I do think Kyle is going to be the one to crack and say something first, and then Megan to come out and kind of be nonchalant about it, like the way she, like, Remember a couple episodes ago when she got out of the shower and her towel fell off and then the assistant came in?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it'll be kind of the same thing. They should be like, oh, like, I don't know, whatever. And then, like, okay, that actually was kind of bad. And then I think Elizabeth is gonna become a bigger part of the series. Like, I think in the scene that we saw with her and Kyle, like, she had a lot of emotion, what felt like to me.
Yeah.
Like, really built up in her chest. Like, it looked like she truly regretted leaving him at the altar.
Yeah.
And you could see Kyle still really loves her.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think this whole scene that they had was a game changer, because I think ever since she left him, he has dismissed the idea of them getting back together, and this reopened it.
Yeah.
Because now I think he's like, oh, like, shoot, like, she actually still does want to be with me. Like, it's going to change things in his mind.
Definitely. And that just, I mean, whenever an ex comes back into the picture, it's always complicated.
Very true.
Especially if, like, because he was the one that got broken up with in that situation. Right. So it's like he still had, like, some feelings towards her. It wasn't his choice. Yeah. So that's definitely, I could see that happening. It'll cause drama there.
So part of me wonders if maybe she comes back and Megan will catch them in the act of something.
Oh.
And then more things will come out.
Yeah, it'll just be like a trickling effect from there.
Yeah.
I can see that happening.
Doesn't happen, but I feel like there's a possibility that it will.
Yeah, I could see that. And then she would just, like, do, like, maybe that's when she would go to Nate and then be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. But I don't know.
And I think there's going to be a falling out with Deanne and Annika. Only because I feel like Annika and Terrence are very similar in the ways that they seem to, like, really control the situation and are just a little cuckoo. And I think that's why Deanne is, like, attracted to both of those personalities.
Right.
But as we've seen, Deanne and Terrence aren't really that close. Which we brought up multiple times.
They're very
being
dry
married.
with each other, yeah.
So I feel like a similar fallout will kind of, like, happen. Or not a fallout, but a similar outcome.
Yeah.
With Annika and Deanne.
Interesting.
Like, I think it's kind of this, like, fun honeymoon stage of a relationship, and then it's gonna, like, sputter out.
Right. I don't know.
Those are my predictions.
Those are, I mean, I feel like at this point, though, it's like we started fresh because everything was just so confusing. So I think we'll probably, hopefully, get a lot of answers next episode. So we can look forward to that.
Yay! Yeah. And then again, I feel like everything's going to change again next episode.
Yeah, of course.
But thank you guys for watching and tuning in. We are so happy that you joined us. I'm your host, Tessa Ceval. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Tessa_Ceval. And Allie, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Ally Nasta and on Instagram at AllieGirl. And if you're interested in any other after shows at AfterBuzz TV, you can find me tomorrow for the season finale of Imposters at 8 p.m.
And don't forget to follow AfterBuzz on all social media platforms at AfterBuzz TV. Have a good night, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.